the lead member of the Julian Sand fan club from Sports Illustrated. Ladies and gentlemen, Albert Breer back on the Rich Eisen Show.
Albert.
How are you, Albert? Good to see you. How are you, sir?
Hey, and I'd echo what the caller said. I mean, I think for what I saw the other night on ESPN, I graduated high school in 1998. I graduated college in 2002, not to specifically date myself, but that was so wheelhouse for me. The graphics, the music, you on there. I mean, it was just, it starts to make you think maybe we had it better back then, but then you just realize that's just you being old. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, no, it was really, really cool, Rich. And I got so many responses from my friends too, just so you know. Because they know, obviously, I know you and everything else. And, they all said, I mean, it was like just a cavalcade of everyone saying the same thing. It was really, really cool.
I had no idea it would touch a chord like that, Albert. And I appreciate you passing that along. And, you being considered me adjacent. I'm honored to have you considered such a thing, to receive those things, to pass along, man. I appreciate that. And it was a time machine for me. It was great. Honestly, I felt so. I was on cloud nine. I got home. Susie's like, I've seen you so happy like this. It was great for everybody. So thank you for saying that. Let's get down to brass tacks here. Why did Shane Steichen make the decision he made? Best you can tell, in Indianapolis, Albert.
Yeah, so I think you have to just follow what he said all along, which was he was looking for somebody who could operate the offense at a high level, at the highest level possible. And I think he felt like he owed it to his team after what happened last year to give them the very best chance in the here and the now. And this year was never going to be about quarterback development. And, I think one of the more interesting numbers that I came across on my camp tour was, the one a couple guys at the Colts gave me, which was last year they were 29th in total defense and they were 30th in giveaways. And they still won 8 games. So you think about those two areas really conspiring to take down what they thought was a playoff contender, and they were still that close. And so they feel like Lou Anarumo coming over from Cincinnati to run the defense and bringing in guys like Charvarius Ward and Ken Bynum is going to give them a chance on the defensive ranking to get a lot better. And then the offense is going to have to get a lot better naturally at taking care of the ball. And so, that's going to happen through things like staying on schedule, through, running the plays at the highest level possible, getting the ball in the hands of the playmakers. And, I really think they felt like at this point, if they can just be pretty good, not great, at quarterback, then they have a playoff team. And remember, there's an ownership change there now, obviously, with the tragic news we got in the offseason. And you've got a head coach now who's in his 3rd year who hasn't made the playoffs yet. And you've got a general manager who's in his 9th year who has 1 playoff win. I just think because of all of it, it's who can give us the best chance in 2025. And I didn't ever sense any doubt from anybody there over the last 3 months that was going to be Daniel Jones. If you were talking to people in that building, that's what they were saying. And I'm talking about from start to finish.
Well, I mean, and again, Albert, fair or not, Brian Daboll being on a hot seat in New York, New Jersey area, was in large part to the fact that they weren't winning enough games, as we know, and that is maybe on Daniel Jones's plate considerably, and that's now the guy that the Colts are saying, we're going to go with you instead of the kid that we drafted in 2023, 4th overall, who came into the league without a lot of experience and needs the experience to actually prove something. Yeah. So and again, Derek Jackson, his agent, telling ESPN that trust is a big factor and that's at best questionable right now. I kind of is putting out on the table that at some point the trust factor between both sides eroded, and I'm wondering what the history of that is, and is it something that can be overcome, similar to what happened with Bryce Young in Carolina? Like, what do you think, Albert?
I think that was the whole argument for starting with Richardson, right? And I think that was sort of some of the internal discussion there was, well, if it's close, right, or if they're even, maybe it's easier to go to Anthony knowing that we can just, pull the ripcord on that and go to Daniel Jones whenever we want. other than the other way around. It was always going to be harder to go from Daniel Jones to Anthony Richardson than go from Anthony Richardson to Daniel Jones. So, like, I think that's sort of an illustration, at least to me, like that there was a gap here. This wasn't like close to even. This wasn't like 6 versus 4 in the room. Like there was a consensus that Daniel Jones was the best answer. And I think that play he got hurt on, that play Anthony Richardson got hurt on in Baltimore a couple weeks ago, to me illustrates the entire thing. No one wanted to see the result, right? Like no one wants to see a quarterback get hit clean like that. However, on that play, he could have done a better job of recognizing what was in front of him. He could have done a better job of matching his protection to who was coming at him and known that he was hot. He could have gotten the ball out of the bat. He could have gotten the ball out and to his back in the flat and saved the hit on himself. You know, instead, because he didn't recognize it and see it fast enough, he exposed himself to injury. And he exposed his team to loss of yardage, loss of down. And that's the exact sort of thing they're trying to avoid this year, you know? And so when I say to you, like, you know, the Colts looked at this and said, defensively, we underachieved and we bring in Lou Anarumo to fix that. And offensively, we just have to be better at the entire operation. Like that to me was like a glaring sign that Richardson still isn't there yet. And I understand your point, right? Like, which is like that the kid does need to play. And this to me is a little bit like Trey Lance, right? The Niners very quickly got to a point where they couldn't throw any more games overboard in the name of quarterback development when they had a good answer in Brock Purdy there. At what point do the Colts get to the spot where we can't just sink a season into the development of the quarterback, no matter how important the quarterback is? If there is a better answer on our roster and the Jonathan Taylors and the Michael Pittmans and the Alec Pierces and the guys in that huddle, like how many more times can we say, no, you know, this will look better in week 10. This will look better in week 13. This will look better in week 16, rather than just giving him the best answer for right now.
Yeah, I hear you. Albert Breer here on the Rich Eisen Show. Not to, well, I mean, listen, you're welcome. Not to use someone else's reporting to get an answer out of you, but I'm going to. Our friend Adam Schefter used the divorce word, that he thinks that Parsons and the Cowboys, Jerry Jones and Parsons have irreconcilable differences, is the gist of his report. Do you feel the same way?
I don't think the Cowboys feel that way. I think it's possible that Parsons is getting there. You know, and I wouldn't dispute Adam's reporting. You know, the color I would give you on that is that, and this isn't like a blueprint that the Cowboys draw up, but, you know, like the pace of the negotiation is actually similar to the pacing on the CeeDee Lamb negotiation, to the pacing on the Dak Prescott negotiation, to the pacing on the Zach Martin negotiation the year before that, where you can take an early offer that's maybe a little team friendly, or we'll see you a lot later, you know? And it's just been the way they've handled it. I'm at the point now where I do wonder, is there like an element for Jerry of like, this keeps them in the headlines? You know what I mean? As absurd as that sounds. Because I've always denied that, but like, it's hard now to like see this keep happening and not think that, you know what I mean? Like that this gets you in the A block of First Take, you know, I don't know. Like, it just feels like.
But you know what also gets you the A block of First Take is you have 14 wins the year before and you win the Super Bowl. That gets you the first, you know, or as I was saying, no, I know that, but that's in order to get that way, you pay Micah Parsons. In order to get that way, you pay Dak and you pay CeeDee Lamb, you know, earlier, and you use the cap space savings on doing it earlier on other players to get more depth. So when the inevitable injury happens, you don't have 11 wins. What I said the other, I believe, was at the end of the hour. I can't even tell anymore. But you'd rather be talked about of having Cowboys fatigue in the same way of Chiefs fatigue because you keep winning rather than the drama. Like that's the goal here, you know?
Right. And here's the subtle difference to me too. Like the subtle difference to me with this one versus the other ones. Dak Prescott is beloved in that place. CeeDee Lamb is beloved in that place. Zach Martin is beloved in that place. I don't know that that's fully the case with Micah Parsons. And so like, I just think there's that element of it too, where if things going this way might have a different type of effect on the negotiation. Now, again, I think we all know that money can solve these problems. Myles Garrett wasn't going back to Cleveland until they put $40 million a year in front of him, right?
Bingo, bingo.
And all of a sudden he was okay with the quarterback situation. So I think there is a way to solve this. And I think what we don't know is what Jerry and Steven are willing to put in front of Micah. You know, we also are aware of how vocal Jerry's been about like the way that the contracts are with players and everything else amongst his peers, amongst the other owners. And so it's just complicated, you know. I would think the Cowboys make another run at it. If that doesn't work, they hold the franchise tag over his head. And, you know, we'll see where that goes. But it doesn't seem like this has gotten, I mean, to Adam's point, like, I mean, I haven't sensed any sort of improvement on this whole thing over the last 3 or 4 months. And when you talk to Cowboys people about it, specifically, when you ask them about it, they'll say, well, you got to ask Jerry. And that's a little bit different than some of the previous negotiations, too.
Albert Breer here on the Rich Eisen Show. Who are we not talking about? Let's get there, man. Who are we not talking about that we should be? I'll give you one if you need. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. You give me one, and then I'll jump.
What about Seattle? Seattle.
Seattle's fascinating. I think Seattle, to me, is the team. They turned the Russell Wilson trade into capital that's become a bunch of good players in their roster. And I think with the Seahawks now, the question is, can a number of players, and I think this is sort of like the Packers too.
Okay.
Seattle, you got a bunch of really good young players on their roster where it's, can they elevate and become great players? So, you know, at running back, Kenneth Walker is a really good player. Is he a great one? Zach Charbonnet's looked really good in camp behind him. Jackson Smith and Jigba, can he be an elite receiver? Charles Cross, I think you could argue, is already a top shelf left tackle, so maybe he's already there. On the defensive line, Boye Mafe, Derek Hall have shown a lot of potential. In the secondary, we've seen flashes from Reek Willen. Devin Witherspoon's a really good player. They draft Nicky Imanwari, you know, out of South Carolina, who is going to play like a Kyle Hamilton type of role in Mike McDonald's defense. So you've got this group of really good players, and the quarterback's probably part of this conversation too.
Yes.
Like, how many of these guys can elevate from being good players to becoming great players? And, you know, I think that's on Mike McDonald and his staff to get that out of them. Clint Kubiak's a big hire for them on the offensive side of the ball. But I like the potential of the group. And it's a bunch of guys similar to Green Bay, again, like where you've got guys who kind of have come up together, and now we'll see where they're going with it.
Yeah, I mean, they're just, you know, Cooper Kupp's sitting there too, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
But they have a couple they brought in DeMarcus Lawrence from Dallas.
Right.
Like, so they've added a couple of, and that was intentional too, like adding a couple of like veteran guys, because they had to, like, they got rid of some of the peak guys, right? Like, so Gino's gone, DK Metcalf's gone, and they've like intentionally brought in some older guys that can kind of fill those roles. You know, like there were a lot of people in that building that became very attached to Pete Carroll and Pete Carroll's program. And so, you know, I think bringing in some veterans from the outside to be in those leadership roles who've seen other ways of doing it was important too.
Okay. What about an AFC team? You can't say Denver because those are everybody's been pegging them. Everyone's really been pegging them for the last month. And maybe rightfully so. Yeah. Well, I mean, about who we're not talking about. That would leave the Raiders Houston in the West. Houston? You don't think we're not talking about? Okay. Houston. Now you have the floor.
Okay. So, like, I think Houston, there is not a position group in the NFL that will do more to swing the fortunes of its season than the offensive line group will for Houston, because I think they have everything else. They bring in a new offensive coordinator, Nick Caley, who is going to do things to empower C.J. Stroud, which was part of his issue with the offense last year, because they allowed him to do a lot at the line at Ohio State. You know, like the receiver group, the two kids from Iowa State look like they're ready to roll. Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel. They bring in Christian Kirk to backstop those guys. They've got Nico Collins as a true number one. In the backfield, I mean, Joe Mixon's a little bit like, we'll see. Nick Chubb's look pretty good. They got Dameon Pierce behind them. They have a really reliable tight end in Dalton Schultz, and their defense, I think, has a chance to be the best defense in the NFL. They go 8 deep on the defensive line. And follow me here. Like a lot of the great defenses of the last 15 years, right, have great pass rushers, great corners. They have Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter as edge rushers, and they have Derek Stingley Jr., and nobody's talking about this guy, but Kamari Lassiter was a rookie for them last year. They think he could be almost as good as Stingley. So if you have those edge rushers, those corners, and now you're really good everywhere else on defense too, you've gotten to that point. I feel like Nick Caserio and D'Amico Ryans have that program in a place where if the offensive line can come together, they've got a chance to crack into that Kansas City, Buffalo, Baltimore tier in the AFC, which they've been kind of like nudging up against it.
Hey, man, they've been
that offensive line's that's a massive hit.
That's it.
That's because they traded away Laramie Tunsil. They thought the room was toxic. Right. They've thrown a bunch of guys in there. It's a huge if.
I mean, Houston's made the Final Four in the conference the last 2 years. Every year, Stroud's been with the team, and and this could be the year where they take that step. That's a major question in the AFC because that does change the dynamic. I mean, listen, everyone feels like there's that 4th seat in the musical chairs in the AFC Final Four, and we're putting the Ravens, Bills, and Chiefs in there. Who's that other team? Could it be the Broncos? Could it be the Chargers? Could it be the Steelers? Could it be
Bengals.
The Bengals? Although Monday Night Football, you're watching the first 2 drives. Well, you're watching the first 2 drives for the Commanders, and you're like, can we get Trey Hendrickson a helmet instead of a hat?
Yeah.
Like, not that he would be the guy to stop the run, but and then you're thinking that's what you're thinking. With all due respect to every other team, Dolphins, Jets, Patriots fans think that they're on the up and up. The Jaguars have some good feelings about them. I do love every word that comes out of Cam Ward's mouth in Tennessee right now.
Yeah.
I kind of love his edge.
That thing about his dad, you caught that, I'm assuming?
Go for it.
Like, so he said in the media, I think this was last week, maybe it was this week, but he said, I watched my dad get up at 4 a.m. Every day to go to a job he didn't like. Why would I not be excited to get to the building really early to play football? Something along those lines. It was like,
man, I missed that. Maybe I was on walkabout.
I think you were.
I was out. Oh man,
that's exactly what you want your quarterback to say. And by the way,
yes,
it's really interesting. That's exactly what he's doing. If you talk to people there, he holds 5:30 a.m. meetings with the rookie receivers, the rookie tight ends, the rookie running backs. Like every day they're practicing to go over the offense, watch tape, and go over the practice script. And this has been since the day he got in the building. He organized them himself. And it was interesting. I talked to Brian Callahan about this when I was there last week. And Callie said to me, he goes, sometimes you get rookies that come in and do stuff like that. And they're just trying to like show everybody like, hey, like, look how into it I am. And then you get a few weeks in and like, it just dissipates and they go on and they're normal NFL players. He's like, Cam started that the minute he got here, and it's still going now. So I'm just interested to see what happens with him because he's an impressive kid.
Me too. And by the way, inspiring. I think. What do you think, guys? 5:30 a.m. meetings every day now. What do you think?
Sure.
Let's do it.
If you're here, I'm here.
Okay.
Well, you would beat the traffic in L.A.
Let's do it.
Right?
I love
now
this.
we're talking.
I love this job. Don't you?
I like getting up early. I like donuts. Let's go.
Okay.
Man, wouldn't you feel great if that was your quarterback to hear him say that?
Yeah, sure, of course.
That's awesome.
Of course.
Yeah.
How about the Giants? Last one for you. What? I mean, I was talking the other day about an underrated group. That defensive front, man, for the Giants is no joke. And if the offense can, crack open 17, 21 a game, they've got more of a chance than you think. What do you think about that?
I mean, I really like the young core there, despite like all the criticism they've got. So I look at Dexter Lawrence, and this was interesting. Like last year, middle of the year, I'll do my midseason awards, and I'll have executives vote on it, right? So it's not me picking them. It's, people who are, paid to evaluate this stuff. And Dexter Lawrence won Defensive Player of the Year, and the Giants were terrible at that point. So like, for a guy like that playing interior defensive line to be voted by the majority of people who I had voting on the thing, defensive player of the year, despite a lost season, despite being part of, being part of a defense that wasn't great last year, I thought spoke volumes for the type of player he's become. And you've got Kayvon Thibodeau, and you've got Brian Burns, and you've got Abdul Carter, and in the secondary you bring in Paulson Adebo from the Saints. Like, you've got like the makings of a really good defense.
Yes.
You've got a number one receiver in Malik Neighbors, presuming health. I mean, for all the Saquon stuff, like Tyrone Tracy came in and had a really good rookie year
Sure
at
did.
running back.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
is quarterback right, and is the offensive line right?
Yeah,
And that's the question.
I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah.
And the I know Russ is the starter there, and we're all looking at Jackson Dart, and the the ownership clearly wanting to see something, and they do like Daboll. I know that, and for good reason. So it is. It's a big. That's a big Week 1 game against Washington.
And a lot of people have asked me. It's interesting. A lot of people have asked me, what about Jackson Dart?
Yes.
And I sort of think, like, if they go to Jackson Dart, like, I don't know where their season is. I do think, like, as well as Dart's played, and what we've seen from Dart, which is like playing fast, he's tough in the pocket, he'll take a hit. All of that reflects 100% what they've already seen in practice, right? So he's really impressed them. And I think the leash is probably shorter on Russ. But if you start like 4-1 or 5-2 or whatever, then, I mean, you're probably sticking with him, So
yeah, makes sense.
That's a little tricky too. You know what I mean? Like, so I just think where the offensive line is with Andrew Thomas coming back off the injury, and you hope some of the acquisitions from last year pan out now, and then obviously quarterback's going to determine how far they go.
Hey, brother. I mean, if the Jackson Dart development plan is a hand wringer, that's a first class problem, right?
Yeah.
Because if Russ is 4-1, 5-2, that's a first class problem about what to do with Jackson Dart.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Like the Giants might even sign for something like that.
Yeah, and I don't know if the schedule is going to allow for it either. I think this is right. Like, you guys look this up.
No, we got it. We've been talking about it. It's Washington.
But
It's
I think
at
they're
Washington,
playing
at Dallas, and then home for Kansas City. Their first three, which makes sense to put Russ out there against those guys, and then the Chargers at home after that.
But that's the whole NFC East, right? Because they play I believe the NFC North and the AFC West. Is that right?
Yeah, they played yes, sir. You could see it. The North, the West, in their own division. My God.
Yeah. So
yeah, and then by the way, at New England, Week 13, that could be
tougher than it looks now.
Oh my gosh, Albert, great ball talk as always. We'll chat soon. Thanks, pal.
All right, thanks, Rich.
That's Albert Breer.
See you, Albert.
Must follow, must hang out, must chat. Good stuff. Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.